for joining me in this video today. I am making this video about how to heal from past trauma. In this day and age, we can't escape it. We've all been through some kind of trauma in varying degrees in various ways. And that's just a part of our life. Our conditioning as we've grown up has told us to push this all down, and that we need to run away from it, and that we're not believed if we share our stories, and that it doesn't matter and you need to toughen up, and all of these different things that block us from really processing what has happened. So I want to start by sharing my story. I had an abusive father. He was bipolar, and he and my mom would fight a lot. The first time I tried to hurt myself, I was 6 years old, and it was while they were fighting. A lot of things happened there between, like, physical abuse from him, emotional abuse. He kidnapped me once. There was just a lot going on. He also, for years after he stopped physically hurting me, after he left my mom, he would emotionally abuse me by telling me lies and trying to get me to turn against my family and all of these things, and that really left a toll on me because I didn't feel comfortable. I felt scared and trapped and really, really hurt. I knew I was being manipulated at a young age too, and so that really hurt me because I knew that I didn't want to be with him. I didn't want to be around him. And having an abusive parent is really difficult in a lot of different ways because he stopped physically hurting, and now he doesn't, like, I don't really talk to him much, but when I do, it's very, very brief. And he tried to be in my life again when my son was born, but it just didn't work out because even though I've seen growth, it just doesn't personally feel right for me. And so like I said, with abusive parents or family members, toxic family members, all of them, it can be really difficult because you're told to be like, oh no, that's still your parent, that's still your dad, you should still love them, blah blah blah, that doesn't really matter, and all this stuff. But it does matter. It does matter 100%. Don't ever let somebody tell you that you should force yourself to be around a person that you do not feel safe around. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. A really big step in healing from abuse from other people is taking yourself out of that situation, becoming aware of what is going on and saying that is not okay. This is not okay for me. This is not helping my higher good. This is making me feel scared and uncomfortable. I need to remove myself from this situation and do it. There are a lot of people that feel like they have no means to escape an abusive relationship, but it is possible. You just have to realize that you are better than this. You don't deserve this. And then removing yourself from that situation by any means possible. Now, after my father, I had an abusive boyfriend when I was 13, 14 years old. He and I would be very violent together, very emotionally manipulative. He wouldn't let me have any social media. He actually got me pregnant, broke my finger, lots and lots of other things. I was with him for almost a whole year, my freshman year of high school. He would literally, walking the halls of the school, hold his arm around me like he was being a good boyfriend, but he was actually choking me a lot, often. And I felt so hopeless, literally walking the halls of my school surrounded by all of these people, and like I was nothing. I was absolutely nothing because I couldn't escape. I didn't know how. I loved him. I thought I loved him, and I deserved what he was doing to me, and all of these things, which are not true, were not true. But I felt so scared and broken, and it took me a long time to realize that I didn't deserve that. And I'm very grateful for a few people who did help me out of that. Older friend of mine helped me get through. People started to realize that he was abusing me, and they started to pitch in, which was very amazing. And I'm so grateful for my orchestra teacher, Mr. Holmberg, who really helped step up for me, and he helped talk to me and get me through everything that was happening, and I'm so grateful for him. But getting out of that situation was not easy. It was not at all. And when you feel so low, so trapped, and so hateful towards yourself, because that hate from outside, it gets pushed in over time. And like, I started to genuinely hate myself. The hate had stemmed from my parents, and I thought I was the cause of so many bad things happening there. And now this person hates me and is telling me that I deserve all of these bad things, and it just got pushed deeper and deeper within myself, and I started hurting myself more and more and more. And eventually I got into different relationships and different scenarios. I started doing drugs, and I went down a very dark path with drugs. But luckily, it did eventually open my mind to where I realized, wow, this isn't good for me, and I removed myself from that situation. I was being abusive to myself. After years and years of abuse from other people, I said, you know, whatever, I don't need other people to abuse me. I'll just self-destruct myself. And so that's what I did. And I realized it, and I was like, oh wow. Wow, look at what I'm doing. There was something that I had done for years that traumatized myself. I would basically be alone, but feel like there was somebody watching me. Like somebody had a video camera around, and they were watching me, and so I had to be perfect. Like, I couldn't smoke a cigarette the wrong way. I had to always be in picture perfect position, and it basically would elevate my anxiety, elevate my self-consciousness, my self-esteem. It would hurt me so bad because I would be constantly paranoid, and that was so destructive. And then one day I literally was smoking, and I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not real. What am I doing? What am I doing? And I finally removed myself from that situation. That was one of the last traumas that I had inflicted upon myself, which I removed, other than smoking cigarettes. And it felt so good. But it did not end there. After realizing what I was doing to myself, I started to realize what behaviors I had accrued over the years from my past, from that trauma that I went through. And I started to realize, wow, that's not normal. And I was like, you know, it's really messed up what happened to me, because it really was. But now I'm aware of what I am doing now, and I can move forward. And so ever since that realization, I've been working on slowly releasing these different behavioral patterns and attitudes, habits, thought processes, so many things. People I've shed out of my life. And it comes in waves, and I'll shed, and it'll feel great. Healing from past trauma is such a long, multi-step journey. It really is. Something that really helped me along my early journey After I got out of drugs, my therapist, because sitting down talking to a therapist is really beneficial no matter what, and I highly recommend it, but she wanted me to do something called the red dot therapy. It has a better term, but I can't remember it right now. So basically she would hold like a red pen in front of me, and I would think about these different things that I've gone through. Like I would pick one memory and think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it, like literally relive it, and the red pen would, while I was staring at it and thinking about this thing, would trigger the spot in my brain where the trauma was located, and it helped resolve it much faster. I bawled my eyes out during these processes, all of them. I shed so much, and it was so painful, honestly. Society will have us conditioned to think that we need to just put on our big boy pants and deal with the past and not let it affect you now and just brush it under the rug and keep going in your life until you eventually explode. Because if you brush things under the rug, it's still there. It's just pushed into your unconsciousness, which is bad, because then it forms these bad habits and these negative behaviors and thought processes, and it eventually kills you from the inside out. And we don't want that, because that's not true healing. So in order for us to truly heal from our past trauma, we have to process it in whatever way is right for us. And it can vary between person to person and experience to experience, but they all need to be processed fully and completely, because once it is completely processed, it will fade away. It'll still be there. It's like an imprint left, but it won't be stabbing, and it won't be brushed under the rug. It'll just exist in the space that we hold for ourselves. After I did that therapy with my therapist, I created my own version of this that I could do alone. And so I continued this, and I still do this today. It's something that really helps me process things on a deeper and deeper level every time I do it. Even if I do it for the same memory 5 different times, I learn something new from that every single time. And it gets easier and easier, and the past is healed and healed more and more. So I call this my memory meditation. So basically what you would do, you would center yourself, probably quiet the mind for at least 15 minutes, and then just think of a past painful memory. You can start this process by thinking of a time that you felt a peaceful confidence or a really happy memory, and then go into a painful memory. But willingly go into this memory without resistance, and open yourself up to experience it as a third-party observer. So once you view your trauma from the outside without your own bias, you can see it as it was. And I know it was horrible. I know it was horrible. And being on the outside only helps you to understand that it is in the past. So you can do that meditation over and over again as many times as you want. Sometimes I did do the third-party observer, and then sometimes I was fully in my body and fully experiencing that past trauma until eventually it was too painful. But I typically would push past that pain, and after you keep doing this over and over again, you might not have a breakthrough the first time you do this meditation, but over and over again, it will get better and easier, and eventually that trauma will just be a thing that happened in your life, and you can freely talk about it if you want to. You can share your experiences without it being so gut-wrenching. So Memory meditation, honestly, has been the most helpful thing along my journey with past trauma. But after that, after releasing that, honestly, I kind of felt empty. It's like, well, I used to identify with all of this trauma that I had gone through. I was an abused little girl. I was a drug addict. I was all of these different things, and I identified with it. I clung to these attachments and these labels, and that in itself brought me down. And so after releasing all of it, or as much of it as I could, and I'm still releasing, so it's an ongoing process, but I realized that I had to find my personal power. Healing from past trauma isn't just understanding what had happened, but was also integrating my lessons into making the best version of me I can be, into finding my power, gaining wisdom through those experiences. That was a life-changing experience. How I did that was envisioning a lot of yellow and a lot of gold and speaking up. Honestly, finding my confidence to speak up and share my experiences, whether it was just a quick little post on Facebook or comforting a friend who was going through something similar. And the more and more I did this, the easier it got, and the more I was able to speak. You know, I used to be not be able to talk in front of my class, and now here I love making videos and talking to people and lectures and workshops and stuff. I love doing all of that. Our trauma doesn't have to be something that weighs us down. It can be something that lifts us up, provides us with tools to go on and grow and move, and can motivate us and push us forward in life. And finding my personal power, that's where I really got the courage to say, you know what? No, I don't deserve this. You don't talk to me like that. You don't deserve to be treated like that. And I would let people go out of my life. Ever since my early journey, I've had many friends, many people in my life who have come and go, and who have come and they were toxic or rude or low energy, low vibration, and they were just horrible to be around. And I would be like, no, I don't need this, because I within myself need to keep moving forward, and this is holding me back. And so I found that power within myself to be able to let that go. Letting go what no longer serves you. It's beautiful. It is. And that doesn't mean just up and quit your job. It doesn't mean just throw people out of your life. It means to address within yourself what you may have been doing wrong. And that requires you to know your past traumas, what behaviors you have accrued from them, and if that is affecting your relationship and the situation right now. And if it's something that you can change within yourself, then do that. Try that first. And then if it's something that this other person or this other situation is continually doing, and you bring up how you're feeling to them and nothing changes, then let them go for sure. Always try to do conflict resolution first, as productively as possible. So in conflicts, especially if you've been through past trauma, it's so easy to be like, oh my god, no, this can't be happening, I can't deal with this right now, I can't. But you can take a breath and realize that it is not affecting you. And even if it is in your space, that you can be calm in any situation, and that you do not have to have a trauma response. You do not have to go into a panic attack. You can realize what is going on in every single moment. The more present you are, the more you are able to control your responses and your reactions to outer things. Because you may be hurting somebody else by the way that your trauma is forcing you to respond to situations, which you have to find that space within yourself to release, observe, and fill with your personal power. And eventually, it's a slow process, but eventually, the more and more this happens, the less you will have a toxic response to something. The less you will yell at something. The less you will freak out at something, or not be able to handle something. All of these different scenarios and things. And the more present you remain in every moment, the easier you will have control over what happens in yourself. With all of my violent trauma and violent past, even after starting to release and everything, I was still feeling my hands get really hot. And like I couldn't escape the feeling, the physical feeling of violence. It took so much power, willpower in me to feel my emotions. Growing up with violence is not easy to recover from. It took me years. It's still taking me time. Especially when I would feel that warmth in my hands. I got to a point where I was able to just sit with it. Sit with that writhing anger. And just let it be in my body. Just like in the memory meditation, just observing it. Letting it be. Not trying to fix, change, or control it. Not shoving the anger under the rug. Just letting the anger exist until I forgot about it. And it disappeared. And I did that over and over and over again. And the anger, the overall anger that resided in my brain lessened. Every time I told my brain, no, I'm not going to react to this. No, I'm not going to lash out. And rewired it with something more positive I could do. Like clapping. It is better. It may be a form of violence, some people might say, but clapping, even if it's just like if you have to clap really fast instead, don't clap super hard, don't hurt yourself by clapping, but get out some of that energy. Or dancing, writing really helps with my anger a lot. Being out in nature, touching the earth, that helps too. You just have to find whatever helps you. You have to be open to the healing experience, open to what your past has done to you. I have a violent past. I hurt myself and others. I could not control my physical range. I couldn't. I would black out because of my trauma. I let my trauma control my whole being. And it destroyed a lot of things in my life. But honestly, it all left. And as I become more and more aware of it, all that anger just fades away. You know, I'm not saying that you need to be super sweet all the time, because we all need a little salt in our lives. We all need a little salt, little spice, you know. Can't get away from emotions forever. And we need to just accept the wide range of emotions that we feel. Like I said earlier in this video, society has conditioned to not let us feel much of anything at all. And that's not true, because we feel so many different things. I can feel happy over here, sad over here, a little anger down there. And that's okay, because that's how we are built. We are so expansive. We have space for all of these feelings and thoughts. We have space for all of these ideas and all of these things. We're not crammed. We don't have to be overwhelmed, because if we are overwhelmed, we can just expand a little more. Have a little more space for that, and it feels a little less overwhelmed. So healing from past trauma, it's really important that, again, you find what healing mode is good for you. There's meditation, yoga, healthy diet, exercise, whether it be dancing, hula hooping, swimming, all of these different things, and painting, some kind of creativity exercise, Reiki, sit-down therapy, herbs. You can use prescription drugs. I would caution against that as a lifelong thing. I think it can be very beneficial temporarily, but even with herbs, medicines you are taking internally to heal from a mental illness only go so far, because you have to create coping skills within yourself, so you don't have to need something for the rest of your life except for you, because that's really all you need. I admit that we need to get there, and so drugs and herbs can help us get there. Prescription drugs and cannabis and things that have been proven to help get us there. I hope that you have benefited from all of this information. If you are willing and open, share your trauma story with me. I would love to connect with you and hear you. I just want to hold space for you. You can message me on Instagram at Rising Moon Apothecary, or drop it in the comments below. Or you can email me. My email is in my Instagram bio. We've all been through so much individually and collectively. We have to come together at this time. Be there for one another. We need to let go of mental illness being a taboo. We need to let go of rape being a taboo, of all of these horrible things being taboo to talk about. We need to talk about these things. Bring it in. I just want you to bring it in. Take a deep breath. You can place your hands at heart center. You can say this mantra with me if you like. I am safe, protected, and grounded. I am full of love. I am divine. Thank you for joining me. Have a blessed day.